Sam Riddle of Detroit Raw. It's really been a great day today. This Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, January the 19th, here in Southfield, Michigan. We've just heard Aretha Franklin. Attorney Fred Gray is speaking. He represented Martin Luther King Jr. during the early dangerous days of the civil rights struggle. And it's just great to see all this activity here in the Detroit area, but we've got to keep bringing it to free Detroit. A lot of people don't know it, But Detroit right now is in a state of sheer oppression as a result of the policies of this Governor Snyder and other right-wing zealots that have taken the right to vote from Detroiters, and now we're fighting back. Wherever we may be, we got to fight for that right to vote, much as King did over 50 years ago. The one thing we got to learn about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is he was about action. Too many of us are content to just talk. But understand this, King went to jail because he upset the stability of the status quo. We just assume party, roll one, and forget about it, and just see what is on for self-gratification the next day. The lives of our children require that we do much more than that. How many of you are willing to throw down and get down for justice?
And the question is, what has happened to Dr. King's dream? And there are many people who think that because we now have an African American in the White House and Attorney General and other key positions, that we have made it, and that Dr. King's dream is all over, and what's all the fuss about civil rights? And I want you to understand that although the civil rights movements, there were many unsung heroes whose names never appear in print, whose faces never appear on television, but whose moral courage laid the foundation and made it possible for the recognition of Mrs. Parks and Dr. King and many others that we see and that we celebrate. We must teach our children the rule of law. We must teach them that notwithstanding the inequalities and inequities, there still exists and there is hope, and we must pursue that hope.
Racism cannot be legislated away by the pen. Racism is a spiritual disease that can only be solved through the curing of hearts. Because just like the heart pumps blood to make our brains operate, we have a spiritual heart. If that spiritual heart is diseased, then we're going to have diseased perceptions. But if we have purified and holy hearts that are pumping the spirit to our mind, to our intellects, then we can look at all of God's dependence and have a healthy appreciation as God intended us to have for fellow human beings.
So we have to understand that you have spokespeople, but a spokesperson is not the one responsible for making the movement happen. We all have to play our part in making the movement successful. Two, I think about Dr. King. Dr. King was not old when he started the movement. And in Alabama, they filled the jails with middle school and elementary school students. Turn the tide. SNCC, those were college students. So you had seniors and students fighting for the same thing. You had parent and children fighting for the same thing. It was intergenerational. Now, you know, I don't know, we got some parents want to leave their children out the movement. I'm going to go march, y'all stay at home and watch BET, I'll be back. I'm going to go march, y'all stay at home and play video games, I'll be back. But then if you want to pay $300 for Michael Jordans, you ought to make a march in them. And so we must rediscover that energy, that faith, that commitment, that soul power, that community. It's not about brand name, not about organization, not about leadership. It's about the people coming together. And we got to come together, and we've got to stay together.
We shall